Welcome to the On the Clock podcast presented by Blitzalytics. I'm the host with a face made for radio and a voice made for writing articles, Zachary Gartin. With me today, I have my much more talented co-host, Roy Countryman, and a special guest from Blitzalytics who writes with us all the time, Bobby Greco. Hey, Bobby, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, guys. Happy to be here. I've been the football last 15 years, so I'm excited to talk some prospects.
Awesome. And Roy, they know you, but how are you doing today? Yep.
Yeah, we're
It's 5
in
o'clock
afternoon.
somewhere. 5 o'clock somewhere. Oh, yeah.
That's my wheel.
Oh, yeah. So I'll go ahead and get into what we're going to talk about today. Oh, looks like we're having a little technical difficulties. Wouldn't be the OTC show without him. Sorry, did I interrupt you, Bobby?
No. I just was saying my intro, but that was it.
Got it. So we're going to be talking about some AAC guys with Bobby. It's one of his favorite conferences. We're going to talk about some of the guys at each position we need to be looking out for this draft, and then also a couple like little sneak peeks to 2022 as well. Then we're going to talk about if the AAC should be a power conference and how the college football playoff failed those guys. Then of course we'll go to commercial, and then me and Roy are going to get into a bunch of topics I'll list after that commercial. So let's just go ahead and get right into it with the premier position in football, quarterbacks. Who are some guys we need to look out for, Bobby, in the AAC from quarterbacks?
Well, I think I didn't get enough credit, and I was back in that conference show. He's been very solid for SMU his entire career, and he's got that arm who can fit any system, and I really think he should get a better look than he's. And I also feel that way about Desmond Ritter. His passing numbers weren't as high this year, but Cincinnati was an undefeated team leading up to their bowl loss against Georgia, which I think they more beat themselves than Georgia beat them. So, he's just been a consistent quarterback for them the past 2-3 years. And I really like what he can bring to a team.
Oh, yeah.
Another guy, too, I guess I didn't, but probably at least Brady White, who just won the Campbell Trophy last year, or yesterday, excuse me. I got to be honest, I'm kind of on the fence. I think he's a very talented quarterback, but just the consistency for me isn't there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about those three.
Desmond Ritter is one of my favorites in this draft class. I currently have him around QB 5 or 6. He played really well in that first half against Georgia. Like, he was showing people, like, hey, I have talent here. And that second half, he fell off a little bit, got a little uncomfortable in the pocket. Georgia was doing some different things. They have a pretty good defense themselves. So, and he was really dealing with, like, no run game. His defense was missing so many guys and all that. But Desmond Ritter is a talented guy with a high ceiling. Like, I could see the Steelers going after him at some point in the later rounds of the draft if he falls that far, just to get that kind of backup for Big Ben if he retires, or just to groom him a little bit for that starting role, because I definitely know Mason Rudolph is not the answer. And go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I really like that fit for him too, because I think that with the receiver talent that Pittsburgh has, he would really fit that team because he's athletic, can run, which would help James Conner. And I think he would give that mobility and run, throw on the run, those receivers a chance to thrive.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Him and Chase Claypool would be fun. I would love to see that.
I'm excited by that fit, too.
Yes.
Oh, Roy, I can't hear you right now. I think you're muted on Skype there.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
We're figuring it out. Sorry, guys. Don't mean to have that little bit of dead. Yep, you're all good.
Yep.
So, sorry for the dead air, everybody.
Yeah.
As far as I know, we're all good. I mean, I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
We might as well just keep going anyways. So, Desmond Ridder, we love. You brought up Brady White and Shane Buscemi. Let's talk about an underclassman real quick. A guy that's not coming out in 2022 will most likely be coming out in 2022. Dylan Gabriel for UCF.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him?
I think he's an absolute stud. I mean, his position coming in his freshman year because, he had just lost Mackenzie Milton to that devastating injury. Still at quarterback. And here you have a true freshman coming in. So same state of Hawaii as Milton. And he came in and not only filled those shoes, but really showed he is their guy. And, Mackenzie Milton is now so I think he's just going to keep growing there. I love everything about UCF. I think that they have just done a fantastic job, not only recruiting, but just running that program. And I think he's going to maybe take him to the next level next year.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll give my thoughts real quick. The chat's still saying you're a little bit muted here, Roy. I mean, if you could just check your audio real quick. Sorry, guys. We always have technical difficulties.
I was just messing around here. See if you guys can hear me now. I adjusted a few things on the audio. If you guys
can hear you now, Roy.
Huh?
Yeah.
You can hear me?
We can hear you, and I think the audio on what do you call it? OBS is working. So
yeah, it's been giving us fits this morning whenever we were trying to get everybody connected. That's why our man Bobby, he's not here visually with us. He's just here with us in spirit. Right. So, but
I'm the voice behind the screen.
Yeah, you're the Wizard of Oz right now, Bobby.
Hey, I'll take it.
So, but no, let me just throw in just a little bit there, Zach. Before I don't want to cut you off, but he was talking about Shane Beichel. I love him as a backup. I don't think he's ever going to be a starter in the league. I think he could be a real quality backup in this league in a Chad Henne type role. Maybe start some games a few years, but he's not going to be that guy game in, game out. And I'd be really remiss if I don't talk about Desmond Ridder. You're talking about my Steelers here. That would be just warp speed into the new generation. We could have RPOs being ran with Johnson and Claypool and all those weapons that we have up front. I would really like to see that, and I really hope he comes out. I think he could really make an interesting decision for that fifth quarterback behind the big four that we're talking about right now. I know you're quite high on Davis Mills, which I am too. But I think he'd be an interesting case there for those quarterbacks. Mac Jones, Kyler Trask, Desmond Ridder, Davis Mills. All those four are kind of in the conversation for right after that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, Davis Mills.
Agree there.
Davis Mills was a guy I liked a lot coming into this year. I haven't watched his 2020 stuff, so I'm not sure how well he's played. He played limited games, which is a little bit worrisome. So I don't think he'll get drafted that high. He's a guy I like, though, as a sleeper. Excuse me. But you talked about Dylan Gabriel. That dude has a cannon. I haven't watched him in depth, but from the live viewings I've seen, he has a cannon. He's going to be fun to evaluate going into this next summer when we're watching these 2020 seasons, seeing how they stack up to this most recently very talented QB class.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, yep. And Gabriel, it was him being able to, like Bobby was saying, be able to take that team after the devastating injury to the quarterback. Now it's in Florida State. But Gabriel, I mean, if you're not winning in UCF, you should be, because there's a lot of athletes down there in Florida. And Bobby made a good point. They're really winning recruiting battles down there on a lot of guys that maybe went to Texas and went to some other, southern or western states. They're keeping some of those guys in-house at a good program there. Whenever you have Florida State and Florida, all these big schools that are pulling names, they're now pulling them to UCF because of the program they built.
Oh yeah, it's a really good program down there. Mm-hmm. Excited some of the guys they have coming out, even in this draft.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the past couple of years they've been filled with every round a couple UCF has.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll move on to the next position here. We're going to talk about running backs. We know people don't think running backs matter. You still have to scout them. You still like to watch them. So we're going to talk about them real quick. I'm going to throw some names out there. We can have a discussion. Kenneth Gainwell from Memphis. He opted out this season, but he's still an AAC back. Jared Dokes from Cincinnati. Feel like we saw his impact in that Cincinnati-Georgia game. Corey Taylor and Derek Prince, and also Greg McCrae. What are some of your thoughts on those guys, Bobby?
Well, I'll start with Greg McCrae, since we were talking UCF. And I really like what he can bring to a team. He reminds me a lot of Antonio Gibson for Washington. Not spectacular in any area, but he can do everything. He's going to be a good receiving back out of the whatever formation you want to use him in there, and then he can run the ball between the tackles and get to the outside. I don't know if he's a perennial Pro Bowler, but he's a guy that will definitely eat up some stats, and I think can really help a team. And the two Tulsa backs, I think they had an awesome two-headed monster this year. Corey Taylor, surprising speed, because he's got some power to him, and I really like the edge he brings running the ball. Prince, I don't think got enough of a shot, because I don't remember seeing him as much. But when he played, it was like, wow, this guy's got some skills. And I think he's more of that speed guy. But, he also had a little power to him. And I think it was just the way Tulsa ran their offense. But I like all three of them. I don't remember what Gainwell did last year. I got to be honest. So I can't really speak to him, but I know those other three, I really like what they can bring to a team.
I haven't given much of a watch to those three guys, but I would probably like. Roy, do you have any thoughts on those three guys if you watch them?
Kenneth Gainwell, I'll speak a little bit. He's a dynamic playmaker in space, and also can run between the tackles.
Yep.
But he also, I think he's somebody that kind of hurt himself by opting out. He didn't do himself any favors. What the heck?
Having some technical difficulties, it looks like.
I can't.
How about now, folks? It's lagging big time.
Yeah, we're that guy.
Yeah. And
an OTC show
without exactly, it's on the technical side. That's what we're gonna be, or on technical course here. But Kenneth Gainwell, that's what I was kind of talking about here, guys. And he was somebody I think it really hurt himself not going back. I think he kind of jumped on the ship early with saying, due to COVID and everything in that situation, that it was going to be better for him to not play. I think he could have made money and moved up into the day 2 round just because he's an explosive playmaker. He can do it both as a running back and as a pass catcher, also some kick return abilities. There at Memphis, he had a veteran quarterback in is it Brady Davis? I always forget that guy's name. Brady White. Brady White. There we go. Yeah, Brady White. There we go. Brady White, I mean, he would have had a veteran quarterback there, could have peppered him with some targets out of the backfield. But another guy that I wanted to speak to, you talked about Greg McCrae. I want to talk about Otis Anderson. He's also an underrated back out there at UCF.
He is.
I really liked his game when I watched him in the few tapes I got my hands on. I think he's a guy that you're not going to see maybe in that day 3, maybe even as an undrafted guy that might make a roster and be a high quality, third back special teams contributor, maybe sneak into some contributing factors as a passing down back and on third downs there. So like both those backs. I like the Tulsa backs, but those are a couple guys I caught my eye.
Yeah, no, I watched Kenneth Gainwell in the summer, and I really liked him. I don't have a final eval done on him, but I mean, I liked some of the traits he has. He's got really good contact balance. His vision's a little iffy at times, but he's really slippery. He doesn't get taken down easily. He doesn't really have the burst or the elite athleticism you'd like from a back that you draft early, but he could definitely be a guy you draft later in rounds, later in the draft to get, and he'll be a contributor pretty early just because how slippery he is. Alrighty. And we'll go ahead and move on to the next position. One of my favorite positions to scout no matter what. Wide receiver. We got a couple guys we're talking about here. There's more in the AAC, but the 3 guys we're talking about are Calvin Austin III, who I believe is an underclassman. Don't remember for certain. From Memphis. Marlon Williams from UCF, and Jalen Robinson from I cannot remember the school right now.
They're both UCF.
Both UCF? Alrighty. That looks silly. So, Bobby, what do you think of those guys?
So I think Calvin Austin reminds me actually. He's very shifty. Going to be a burner down the field. But he's going to be a consistent pass catcher when he's open. Because he gets open a lot. Like I said, he's very good. I think he's a good route runner. And he was really a big piece of that Memphis offense, who also didn't have DeMonte Coxey this year. So he had to step up into a bigger role. And I think he did pretty well. The two UCF guys. Do you want to say something about?
No, go ahead.
Austin?
Go ahead.
Okay. The two UCF guys, I think are both very productive receivers. Jalen Robinson's a little bit bigger and plays a lot bigger than his height actually is. Yesterday I was actually kind of shocked to see he was only 6 foot because I'm watching a lot of their games this year. It seemed like he was always going up and high pointing a ball, and was their target in the red zone. So I think he's going to be really interesting. He's also got a lot of speed. So I think he is going to be a mid-round pick, but could be one of those rookies that when you look at it next year, you're going to be like, wow, what a good pick this kid was, So I really like him. I think he's going to bring a lot.
Yeah, and
I'll have to run it next time.
Yeah. There it's coming.
Yeah. There we go. Probably missed most of my talk. I'll kind of start over, recap a little bit. Calvin Austin and Jalen Robinson, size concerns, both really small at 5'9". Calvin Austin, very shifty, very good at the top of his stems, very good in his routes, especially in those short to intermediate areas. Could definitely be a yak guy moving forward at the team. And then a guy I really like from Memphis is DeVonta Coxey. I think he's probably a 4th round guy, but he really surprised me. I don't have the comp up right now, but he has a bit of snap to his hips, which is nice. He's a really good downfield kind of guy, downfield route runner. He's not the most athletic, but he's very good. Would like to see him high point the ball a little better for a guy his size. It's not his strongest point, but he's got solid hands, good downfield threat as a pass catcher. And I think the comp I had from was Travis Fulgham. I don't remember exactly. That could be kind of shooting dark, but I really kind of liked him in the 4th to 6th round, somewhere in there.
I got to agree too. I'm surprised Coxie doesn't high point the ball as well, because he is big and he's got huge hands. You would think that's one of his specialties, you know?
Yeah. Surprisingly, it wasn't. He wasn't terrible in that aspect of his game, but I expected him to be a lot better. So overall, liked him. That's one of the flaws that I think he should work on the most, especially in his time off, since he opted out after I think the 2nd game of the 2020.
Yeah, we're talking about
he opted out really early.
You guys talked about Marlon Williams. I really like him. I think he has some savviness to his game that's really underrated. He's not the biggest, he's not the fastest, but he just seems to win. He knows how to do that. And the other UCF guy that I like is Trey Nixon. How quick his feet are, I'm just very impressed. It's one of the things when I'm scouting receivers is what their footwork and the way they set up their routes. He's somebody that's very good at setting up his routes in and out of his breaks, varying the pace whenever he's getting out. I really liked his game. He really jumped to the next level. I think he got an NFLPA game invite. So that's another guy. And I know we were talking about pass catchers in general. The one guy got a Senior Bowl invite that not many people knew him, Kylan Granson from SMU. I really like his athleticism and pass catching ability. I'm not sold on him being an NFL caliber blocker in and out, but I think he could be a quality number 2 tight end that's kind of been sleeping under the radar. But I think you're going to hear a little bit of noise when he gets to the Senior Bowl here at the end of the month.
Oh yeah, that's athletes at that position are always good.
I completely agree.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next position we're talking about today. Let me pull up the sheet here. I put it down for some reason. Next position, we're going to talk about some defensive line guys. There's some guys in this group that I really like. Patrick Johnson from, I believe it's Tulane.
Yep.
Exactly. Tulane.
Yeah.
Myjai Sanders, Morris Joseph, and Cameron Sample. And then if we're talking about Tulsa guys, I'm pretty sure Jackson Player from Tulsa is another guy that we didn't write down, but is a guy that I know a lot of people in the draft community really like.
I love Patrick Johnson here. He reminds me his style a lot of Jerry Hughes, but he's more powerful. And when you watch him play, it's really impressive to see the power that he does have, because he's not overly big. But he can really bury tackles, and then he's got that quick step because he is not that big. So he has that quicker step than the offensive lineman might have. And I think Myjai, oh my God, I'm blanking on his last name. Thank you. I think he is an late round pick. I think he has a lot of pass rushing ability, but I think the ability to stop the run, and maybe he's got to bulk up a little bit to be a good NFL pass rusher. I like him, but he's definitely going to have some work. He'll kill it on special teams, though. I hope that, these rookies that come in, especially at a position like the end, take special teams into their heart, because that's a good way to get on the field. Every year I feel like you see 2 or 3 rookies who make their name on special teams and then get that chance on offense or defense. And I think Myjai Sanders is one of those guys. He's just got a couple things to work on. And I think, he can really set a tone on a kickoff. He's going to bring some power when he hits you. So I like what he brings. Morris Joseph is a D tackle. He surprisingly is a very good pass rusher. I think he was, if I remember correctly, he was number 4 in sacks in the conference this year. And coming from a D tackle, that's, really good. So I think he is definitely going to get a look just on that because look at the impact somebody like Aaron Donald has. Now, of course, I'm not comparing him to Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
Don't get
I get what you're saying.
confused there, but just that ability to pass rush. Yeah. I think is really undervalued right now, but is starting to shine because of Aaron Donald. So I think he's going to get a much better look than people would assume.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Myjai Sanders is a guy I've heard. This is not very concrete or anything, but I've heard he's more of a 2022 guy. I heard he's probably going to go back this year, and I think that makes a lot of sense for him. Just polish some things up.
I agree. I think that would be very smart for him.
Or not. And then another guy from Tulsa that I've heard. I know Ryan Roberts, a guy I work with from time to time with his podcast. Really loves Jackson Player. He did an interview with him and everything. He's very much a space-eating defensive tackle, really good. I quote that for a second. I haven't watched him very in-depth, but I believe he's a one or three tech, and he plays really well against the run there. We're very good space-eating kind of guy. Would be a guy who would love in the middle later in the draft.
We're lagging again real bad, Zach. There we go. Now we're back.
Geez.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. They just don't want me to talk.
It always seems to be on you, buddy. I think if you want to...
All right.
If you want to chat there a little bit about, I think you got Majay, and then after Majay, it started cutting out on you, buddy.
Absolutely. So Jackson Player is a guy that I know Ryan Roberts really likes, and one thing that I've noticed about him, he's like a 1 or 3 tech. He's a really good space eating guy inside. I haven't watched him in depth, so these aren't very concrete facts here, but I know he's a really good space eating guy inside, really good against the run. A team would love a guy like that later in the draft, probably day 3 kind of guy that can impact a team positively from either halfway through season 1 and then season 2 onward, be a valuable guy on the interior against the run.
Yeah, for me, I added a guy to my guy's Cam Sample. I know everybody talks about Patrick Johnson down there at Tulane.
The lag.
Cut out.
And here we go again.
Yep. All right, let's try it one more time.
It's still in the red. See, you got to look at the little box here at the bottom. If it's in red, we're not good.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I can try to run it next time, see what happens.
So Cam Sample, looks like we're back on it here. Cam Sample from Tulane. He was more of a down pass rusher from a 4-3. Put up a lot more down there at Tulane. Was kind of impressive. He's not the longest guy, not the most athletic, but he does have a litany of pass rushing moves. I liked what I seen out of him whenever we got to the film on him. So he's going to probably be day 3 player, maybe practice squad guy for the first few years. I agree with you guys. Myjai Sanders, I think if Ritter comes back, he definitely should be coming back because that Cincinnati team puts them squarely in competition. They have another guy, Kobe Bryant. The corner is coming back as well.
Yeah.
That I'm sure we'll probably talk about.
He is.
Yep. He already decided he's coming back. So that if all 3 of those guys could come back, I mean, Myjai Sanders with an outstanding season next year and Desmond Ritter next year with a high quality year, you're talking about first 2 round type guys instead of maybe tail end of the second round or second day players. Maybe early day 3. So those would probably be 2 guys that would be beneficial for them to come back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
Couple guys. Love the lag. We're hitting a little rough spot here, guys. Sorry. Well, linebackers, Jarrell White, Zaven Collins, Delano Robinson, and Diego Fago. I believe that's how you say that last name.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I butcher it.
A lot of tough names. Zaven Collins is a guy I really like. I actually mocked him in the first round of my draft that we'll be talking about a little later today. To the Patriots, I think he's really good. I think it's also a lot of teams will love his versatility there. But anyways, Bobby, go right ahead. Let's hear what you got to think.
I completely agree. Zaven Collins was going to be the first guy I talked about here. I think he is going to be a very effective NFL player. He played a lot of middle linebacker for Tulsa, and I think that really is a great fit for him. He's lengthy, he's quick, but he's a good linebacker, you know? I think, you know, when you think about Isaiah Simmons last year, he was that real in-between linebacker safety where he just didn't exactly fit a position because he was kind of good at everything. But Zaven Collins, I really think, fits that middle linebacker position, even though he isn't, you know, a stocky, come up and hit you in the mouth type guy. He's very good at tackling, and he had 4 interceptions this year, which I think was top 10 in the conference. And with the way the NFL is going right now, that's huge. Fajo, however you say his name.
The Navy linebacker. The Navy linebacker.
Yeah, the Navy linebacker. He is very interesting to me. He's one of those guys like Majay Sanders, who did take advantage of an extra year. And I think it was huge for him. He was Navy's best defender. And I think he has a chance to come in and play some ball. He's not going to be the guy you want, you know, covering a top tight end or anything like that. But he's a very good first, second down guy who can cover the pass a little, but is a very solid tackler. And I think that is pretty solid throughout the conference this year. You know, the other linebackers that we mentioned, and Delano Robinson, and the Cincinnati linebacker that is out of my head now. Sorry. They're also both kind of those tweener type guys who their body size doesn't fit one single position. And I think, you know, it might be a blessing for them because they're gonna get an opportunity to play different positions. And I think especially for the Cincinnati linebacker, he's a good tackler and, you know, very aggressive, which was custom for the Cincinnati defense this year.
Oh, yeah. They swarmed to the ball.
Yeah, I think that's going to be huge if he does come out this year. When I'm pretty sure he has to. He's a senior, so you know he's going to be one of those mid-round guys who could end up playing a pretty big role on this for an NFL team that, you know, starting right away. Not starting linebacker, but I mean just contributor right away.
Yeah. Absolutely. Zaven Collins is a guy that I really liked. From limited viewing, of course. I haven't watched all of these guys yet. I've got a lot of guys to watch. But I haven't really watched the other linebackers. But, I mean, Diego Fago, just from his name, sounds interesting. So I'll probably have to put on some Navy tape. And then I always love watching that Cincy defense. So that's going to be one I'm going to look at as well.
Yeah, the Navy linebacker reminds me of a special teams, you know, kamikaze style guy that he's going to make a living in the NFL. I just see him in a Patriots jersey for some reason, running down kicks and destroying people for like the next decade, even though they'll probably take him like the 6th or 7th round.
That would make a lot of sense.
Jarrell White is this kind of a similar type guy, tail end of the roster, special teams, but he could fill in here and there. But you touched on it, Zach. Zaven Collins, to me, I actually like how much bulk he has. He is an impressive athlete. He can do everything quite impressive pass rushing, covering guys, stopping the run. To me, he kind of reminds me of Jamie Collins. I think he'd be better in a weak side